But when I look at this and I say, wait, instant payments across, like I can send you instantly money, you can send me instantly money. Is this a backdoor to a CBDC? The SEC has been very quiet for the last couple weeks, right? And they came out attacking. I don't believe they're done.
In today's video, Chief Market Strategist of InTheMoneyStocks.com Gareth Soloway tells us all about his latest analysis of the charts as well as his predictions and price targets for Bitcoin and Ethereum. He believes that we could possibly see Bitcoin's low in the coming months. Soloway shares his opinion regarding high inflation rates, the stock market, the crypto market, and the Fed.
So I'm kind of in the same concept that what we have here in technical analysis is called a wedge pattern, which is higher lows and lower highs. And so it creates, and you can see I have a couple of the other lines. This was the breakout line we discussed, where it was clearly breaking out once it got through that like 49% level. And then this is kind of the target zone that you and I agree on, which is that 60, 59%, where you have pivot point, and then that creates that trend line, and then the downsloping one going back to the dominance prior. And I think you made a great point, is that so many of these investors have come in after 2020 in terms of Bitcoin, so they don't remember a period when Bitcoin dominance was so massive, so dominant, if you will. And I think it's important because people are like, oh, well, the alts will at some point rally back. And that may be the case, but it may be longer than people think. And Bitcoin may be more dominant for a longer period of time. But when you have a wedge pattern like what we have here, the ultimate aspect is that you're going to get eventually these two lines, and I'm going to get rid of this one as well, but you see these two lines, and if I go to my weekly chart, you can see it even more so. Eventually price, so these two lines will meet at some point in the future, right? A triangle, you have the two lines getting closer and closer, and what that's going to cause is it's either going to cause a breakdown or a breakout. In this case, I would not be surprised to see a breakout in this scenario. Granted, it could still be 3-6 months away, but at some point, a wedge pattern like this is very likely to break out to the upside. So 60% will be resistance, but don't discount the possibility that it could eventually break through that and go back to previous levels that we haven't seen for years. And that goes back to kind of what I'd love for you to show. Let me show your chart here, is kind of the numbers in relation to how many people came in when Bitcoin dominance was already collapsing. And I guess the highest it was ever since your chart is showing when those massive spikes was 2021. And the highest it was about 72%, and it was collapsing, right? And I think what's interesting about that point too is that if you think about the position that Bitcoin and crypto is in right now, you have the potential for regulation, but Bitcoin and Ethereum, when you bring in institutional money, they're not going to go and be like, oh, let's buy some Pepe, right? I mean, they're going to be focusing, and remember, they have these fiduciary responsibilities for their clients to focus on the best quality, the safest. And so really you could actually see massive inflows of institutional money come into the space, which BlackRock is almost starting the thought process on, is that'll actually increase Bitcoin dominance because so much big money could come in, and it's not going to go to the 50th on the market cap list. It just isn't. So this is my chart of Ethereum, and one of the things to take note of is you had this downsloping, which is what you were pointing out, this downsloping channel, right? So you have this line here and these, and it basically creates a parallel channel on Ethereum. We've broken above that, and we have sideways chop. Look at where it's occurring, right at that previous sideways chop area before we fell down. So yes, short term, these sideways candles are actually known as a bull flag, and then this channel is actually a bullish channel. So in this case, I would refer to this as a micro bull pattern within a macro, and micro means very small, so that's that 5 candle sideways action within the bigger macro, the bigger pattern as well. So interestingly enough, like you were saying, is at least for now, if you can break above Ethereum at $1,915, there's a decent chance that you could run maybe back to the 2130 level on Ethereum. So there is a side here where Ethereum may see a little bit of a run up. And that also brings in other altcoins. Is if Ethereum runs, do we see a bounce in altcoins? And one of the thought processes that I have is that we have started to see a little bit of a follow through where Bitcoin's gotten stronger and it's kind of trailed off. Now, I don't think you're going to get the same run in some of these altcoins as you will get out of these quality names, but it is an interesting little concept to think that there's money that eventually will say, okay, Bitcoin's had a run. Do we run back just for a quick bounce on some of these altcoins like a Polygon and some of these other ones? For me, that's a shorter term trading opportunity, possibly. Just to give you a sense, and I'll flip back to my charts here, but going into a couple of the trades that I gave my members just in the last week, we were long Solana. We've already taken profits on Solana. We were in from this down here level. And basically what this was, if we look at the chart, I mean, look at that amazing support trend line right there, right? So huge support there, and that's where price came down to right here. And then it just got a bounce, and then I basically just said, okay, there's this down sloping trend line, and I exited about 5 or 6 days ago right here. But I still have a small position in Polygon, which is starting to flag as well. And basically what I'm looking for on this is, and I'm going to take away this one. So you have this area here and this down sloping trend line, and I'm just looking for a bounce into that. So we're basically looking at like 74, 75 cents. And then that's it for me, right? So I agree 100% that I think the alts, while they could get a little reactionary bounce, there's not something that I would be, at least for me, I don't trust these long enough term to hold them for anything more significant. Just trading vehicles for me. We're already ripping in the next bull market. And even though I think Bitcoin dominance, like weirdly enough, if we went into a bad enough scenario, Bitcoin dominance could still increase, but Bitcoin could test those lows again, right? I mean, just imagine if all these altcoins went down 75%, but Bitcoin only went down 50% or something like that, right? When we talk typically, I mean, one of my issues that I've been struggling with is like, okay, well, how many years of Bitcoin cycles do we have? What, 3 cycles in total? And then you have this scenario where the Fed just a week ago or a week and a half ago, they were like, hey, we probably are going to raise 2 more times. And then interest rates aren't going to fall for, I don't know, a year after that or something like that. Number one, do we believe the Fed? I mean, I personally don't really believe them. But what I do believe is that if inflation stays high, it handcuffs them somewhat, right? And then does that impact the cycles that we've seen? So I have one more thing I want to bring up, and I kind of want to discuss, at least in regards to crypto and a risk out there. And this is something that I've been kind of dealing with and thinking about, and it's this. It's FedNow, instant payments debuting in July, so literally within days. And for me, it's like, you know, so Florida, I live in Florida, and Florida has already basically banned CBDCs, right? So, and we know the term CBDC is like, it's like, you don't want to touch it. Like no government official wants to even mention that term. But when I look at this and I say, wait, instant payments across, you know, like I can send you instantly money, you can send me instantly money. Is this a backdoor to a CBDC basically? And then the question I would say is that like the SEC has been very quiet for the last couple weeks, right? And they came out attacking. I don't believe they're done. Like there is no way that was it. There's going to be other stuff, whether it's against Binance, whether it's against the rest of crypto. And the question is so many of these exchanges make you trade Bitcoin and Ethereum in USDT, right? Or USDC. What if all of a sudden you have this option? Does that make stable coins irrelevant? And does that create a potential crash scenario if people all of a sudden are exiting? Let's say Tether is no longer tethered to $1.